What's up, you guys? Ross out here in Singapore, back on it, Night Owl Podcast. You know the deal. You know where you are. I'm actually really glad that you're here with me, and I am excited because I've been kind of busy lately. So, with the revelation that, I am a procrastinator and a chronic one at that, and the fact that I realized, yes, okay, the first 5 minutes after an impulse, I can actually do something about my life. So, I've been doing that. I've been trying to go through and listen to more podcasts, listen to more people who are actually speaking up the community. You guys know, if you're following me on Instagram, Rasath1, you guys know already, all of my stories are created in such a way to showcase other people's work. The people that are speaking up against indiscretions in the community itself, people that are not being treated fairly. They are doing their own work. They're creating music. They're creating films. They are makeup artists. They are speaking up for minorities. There are a lot of people doing a lot of work here in Singapore, and I want to make sure that my stories stay that way. They stay a place where I can actually showcase the people that I'm actually quite fond of. And honestly, I am happy with the fact that I've curated my feed to a point that the people I'm following actually give me good energy. It's not people who are complaining all the time. It's not people who are starting fights for no reason. They're actually about something. They're creating for themselves instead of just passing on the bullshit. So I'm really, really grateful for that. The other thing is I have been trying really hard to balance out my energy a little bit. It's been a little all over the place, as you have heard in the last couple of episodes, and I feel like I'm being swept away sometimes. So I'm trying to figure out where it is that I'm meant to be, because my feed is kind of stagnant at the moment. So I'm trying really hard to get back to that place where I'm constantly inspired and I can plan out material and content rather than wait for inspiration to hit. So with that impulse plus 5 second rule that I was talking about yesterday, I decided to jump on because I found a quote that I put in my stories that I thought was fabulous. And it was to the effect of, give me the patience to accept the things I cannot change and the strength to change the things that I cannot accept. And I really, really love that. It is a play on words, but it's perfect and it's beautiful and it's succinct. And yeah, I can't say enough about it because I think it's really, really important right now. It's about time we question the things and the way things have been for so many years. Education, my God, don't get me started. I think we need to upgrade what it means to be in a classroom and how to learn, because honestly, baby girl has been enjoying the hell out of home-based learning and she's dreading going back to the classroom. So, with that being said, I know this can be applied anywhere. It could be in office culture. People say it all the time. Oh, this is the way we've always done it, so don't change anything. Don't question us. It's working. But that also means that you're turning a blind eye to the few people who have brushed up against the system and it doesn't really work. It bristles them a little bit. And when they question you, that's the way you shut them down. It's actually very, very stagnant energy when you say things like, it's the way we've always done it. It means you're closed-minded, you're not ready for a change, which in and of itself says that, you know what, it's time to upgrade. What else? Inside the house, I know, culture dictates that this is the way things are done. I was having a conversation with someone the other day about, when you go to visit someone for the first time, do you bring something with you or not? It's customary in our culture to do that as a sign of goodwill, as a sign of, we're not coming empty-handed just to take from you, we're bringing something to you as well. And I like some of those things. They're not really bad, but there are some of them that I don't understand where they came from. I don't understand what the meaning of it is. So I want to question it a little bit so I can understand. And if it doesn't suit me, I'm going to find a way to change it or adapt it for myself so that it fits better. And this is what I've always been talking about. There is so much of a gap where people don't really teach the fact that you are raised with a certain set of beliefs that come from your parents. And then when you go to school, you're given another set of beliefs that you kind of have to just swallow hook, line, and sinker, because that's the only way you survive school culture. And then eventually you have these two different belief sets, right, that you're running your life with, which means those two beliefs are actually what you write the rules for the game of life on. And when something doesn't vibe with that belief, or someone comes to you with a different perspective, it's really, really hard for you to allow or accept that they feel something differently than you do. But what we aren't teaching our young people is that you're allowed to adapt and adjust so that the things fit you a little bit better. The person you were when you were 5, when you listened to your parents without actually questioning anything, is not the person you are by the time you're 15, 16. You have your own thoughts and ideas. You've learned enough about the culture and the world around you and the different religions and different races that you've got a couple questions. And the fact that you don't have a safe place to ask those questions can sometimes be very, very confusing and lead to a lot of stress, unnecessary stress. So, with that being said, the quote that says, give me the wisdom to accept the things I cannot change and the strength to change the things that I cannot accept. I think that's really, really powerful because it means that you are ready for change and you're willing to step in it in order to start changing. I think it's really, really, really beautiful and scary at the same time, because who wants to be the first one to lead that charge, right? When everyone's used to doing things the same way, when you start leading a charge like that, you're putting yourself as a target in front of everybody else. You're letting people see what you're doing and giving them space to judge you. And hopefully, which most of us aren't, hopefully you're strong enough to withstand, as in like you have a thick enough skin where whatever they say is not going to phase you much. And that's my wish for you guys. But generally speaking, that's not the case. That's not how it works. And I'm hoping at some point that you find a way to get through it anyway, that you keep doing what you're supposed to be doing. Now, when I listen to that quote, accept the things you cannot change and change the things you cannot accept, I think of another quote, the quote where Kennedy says, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. And that quote is also powerful because I think it speaks to community mentality. It's not about what you can get from other people, it's what you can give to them. What can you bring to the table? How can you contribute to the community? And that's actually one of our human needs, to be able to contribute some way to the humanity, the community, to the collective at some point, because you want to become a part of them. You want to become part and parcel of how life is being run or governed, and so you have a say in it. It's the reason we want to be so connected all the time. Now, Kennedy, what he said when he says, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country, was really telling us to stand up and give a shit about something. Don't be complacent, challenge the status quo, ask the questions, and see if there's something else that you might be able to contribute. Now, obviously, for a long, long time, we used candles for light once the sun went down. Eventually, somebody invented the light bulb, right? And now we can't live without it. But imagine the amount of criticism and crap he went through to be able to find out how to make a filament to make electrical light possible. And then finally, it's become the norm. Now it's the new norm. Obviously, eventually, it's going to be something more towards the along the lines of solar power providing electricity and the kind of luminescence you get from your lights, whether it's like blue light or not, soft glow, all of that stuff. Like all of these things can be questioned and innovated to a different degree. I know they say don't reinvent the wheel, right? But haven't we done that a couple 100,000 times? You have different wheels for different purposes. You have bicycle wheels and tricycle wheels, you have motorcycle wheels, and you have four-wheeler wheels, you have tires, you have rims when people want to, get all fancy and stuff. You have all kinds of stuff. So we have reinvented the wheel many, many times over. And a lot of times we reinvent for material gain, for status. We don't always reinvent the things that could give us more efficient a more efficient lifestyle or a more satisfying lifestyle. And those are the things I want to challenge instead. It's more thought process and belief than it is material things. So I think it's really, really important that we find a way to be better than we were yesterday. And a lot of times that means some of us are going to have to be in quiet contemplation, wondering about these things and why it is the way that it is. Sometimes you'll be able to get answers about why it began the way that it was and why it still persists to this day. I mean, classrooms in school, let's talk about that, yeah? Honestly, I don't see why all of our children aren't working on home-based learning, because with video and discussion groups and the ability to turn in paperwork via the internet using, the concept of email and everything, I don't see why they have to sit in a classroom with 30 other kids and then you have to fight for attention from the teacher because one person asking a question, and then because they ask a question, you don't have time to ask a question. I mean, let's face it. The world is evolving, but some of these things are still archaic. So I like the idea of being able to change the things that I cannot accept, because that means you have the flexibility to adjust your beliefs. That means that if you were taught there is a heaven and a hell and you're going to one or the other, there's no in between, that at some point, if you hear someone else's theory on, you know what, I don't believe in heaven and hell, I believe in you serve some time and then everyone eventually goes to heaven. And maybe that makes you feel a little bit easier, breathe a little bit easier. It's not so much stress and so much pressure. You feel better about your life. So why not change some of those things that might make your life a little bit easier, might make it a little more bearable? Maybe the idea that you have to take medication when somebody says that you have a mental illness is the only way to go. But what if it was as simple as changing how you believe what you believe about yourself, how you feel about yourself, what equates right and wrong, and what does wrong mean? What does that mean for you? How do you fit into a mistake you made? Does that make you a bad person? Should you be ashamed of a mistake you made? Like, all of those things need to be questioned. And this is why I do what I do. I love teaching self-awareness. I love reframing things that have happened in your life so you can see that it doesn't have to be a bad thing. It could have been a blessing in disguise. This is why people talk about the silver lining, right? But no one exactly explains how to find the silver lining or where it is. You're supposed to see it in hindsight or something. I don't know. But I like to be able to push the envelope and help people discover more about their lives, because where one thing is changing, it may not feel so comfortable. Other things are connected to it and also changing, and they might be for the best if you learn to focus on the things that aren't causing you pain. So it's something as simple as that, but it's not always easy to have people learn and accept. So I'm wondering, how do you feel about the quote saying that, you should change the things that you cannot accept? Are you the kind of person who is willing to stand up and do just that? Or are you still worried about what people will think of you and making waves where there necessarily isn't any, where it's a calm sea, you're about to make waves? Are you ready to do something like that? Because I think all of us are kind of on the verge, and I would love to see all of us try really hard to change what is, so we can all benefit from a different kind of lifestyle, a different mentality, like a new normal, right? Anyway, this is my thought for the day. I was really excited about the quote. I really like the fact that it reminded me of Kennedy in the first place, and the fact that you want to challenge the status quo. Yeah, people get complacent. We get really comfortable with the way things are, and we work within the system, which is why we're so materialistic in the first place, right? Capitalism all the way. But the fact that you have to go get a job to earn the money, to buy things, to prove that you have the money, yeah, I don't know. Anyway, my 2 cents for the day. I would love to hear what you think. But in the meantime, you guys, have a wonderful, wonderful day ahead. I love you. Bye.